mothers for us to take care of our children.
All the women, all the every single brother, oh man, woman, let us unite. Mamas, come and save your child. Baby earth is breathing and living, and if you can love and embrace, mothers of the universe, Mother Nature, come and save your child, come and save your child. I said, come sisters, come and take back your child. This crazy world is breaking and burning, and needs your strength right away. Mothers of the universe,
Mothers of the universe.
Mother Nature dies. Take back your child. Take back your child. Oh, wow. This is our time. Oh, God.
My name is Julia Kamar, and I have a background in social work, a little bit of background in psych, and also I currently work with people on the spectrum, both developmental disability and autism as well. Thank you all for taking time out of your morning to be here, and thank you for coming together so we can all share experiences and perspectives in order to come to a resolution or ways in which we can approach supporting our communities in West Africa, Sierra Leone, Liberia. So I have the privilege to introduce to you these four amazing women on the panel this morning. We have with us Anna Marie, Liberia, and I have had the privilege to have learned from her as a student, where I was able to get my certification in autism spectrum disorder. I also have with us here Dr. Stonewall, who I've known for quite some time, even though she may not be fully familiar with me, but a little bit I could give you about her is that even from her earlier years, from me knowing her, there's a level of strength that I've always observed in her. And to know that she's a mother with a child on the spectrum and seeing how phenomenal she's been doing with raising her children, advocating for her son, and also sharing her knowledge and experiences with people on social media. And I'm just, in awe of who you are and the woman you became. We've got Margaret with us, Bolaji Adebola, who, is a mother with a child on the spectrum as well. And we've got Sia Sese. Oh, I'm sorry, Sia Sese is online.
No, Sia Kamara is online.
I'm mixing it up. Okay. Sorry, you all, it's quite early. And I'm a little bit nervous. But I'm sorry, we've got Musu Sese with us this morning, who's also going to share her experience having a child on the spectrum. And on Zoom, we've got Sia Kamara, who's also going to share her experience. So since we are pressed for time, I would like to introduce Anna Marie Delorian to give us a little bit about her experience, not only as a parent, but also as an educator who can give us a little bit of information and about autism.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anna Marie. I'm a licensed behavior analyst in New York, and I have been in the field for over 2 decades. And I am a neurodivergent mother, and both my children are on the spectrum. And I have been a special educator for a long time and started a friendly face providing services for children with autism in New York City and in New Jersey over the last decade. And most recently, which was a vision of mine for a long time, there's a lot of, steps to opening this vision that I had for a long time for families of children with autism in New York City, not just providing behavior therapy for children and having therapists and behavior analysts, but I had always envisioned a medical clinic where there are doctors and diagnosticians and nurses and all kinds of providers, speech therapists, OTs, that can service the autistic family all in one place. And if the doctors and nurses were affected themselves, it would be a much better place because then they'll really know how to care for the family. It took a long time, but we were able to see that vision come to pass, and we were able to open the multi-specialty clinic last summer. Agnes had asked me if I could say a word of empowerment to the women who are here today. So I wrote something out. And I think I'm just gonna read through it, but I'll read through it quickly because I know we have quite a number of people in the panel. And I feel very fortunate to be able to be here and speak today. Now, Agnes and Margaret came to the clinic yesterday and had a chance to tour and speak to some of our clinical supervisors. I'm just gonna try to read quickly and maybe skip a couple of paragraphs. Today we gather not only to share our stories, but to hopefully ignite a flame of hope and resilience in the hearts of every woman here who faces the unique challenges of raising autistic children in underserved communities across developing nations, particularly Africa. While we celebrate the amazing women in the forefront or behind the scenes of this formidable challenge, we are addressing a pressing issue that affects countless families across the globe: the need for comprehensive support for autism spectrum disorders. And we all recognize and are directly familiar with the profound impact that autism has on children, families, and communities, especially in regions where resources are limited. We were in fact a part of helping start the first school of autism for Sierra Leone. This was Liberia, sorry. This was 8 years ago now, right, Agnes? But like I said, I am a neurodivergent mother to 2 children on the spectrum, and I have been in the field for over 2 decades, working in different capacities with families in the United States and different parts of the world affected by the diagnosis or the lack thereof. And as I've shared with Agnes, I want to extend help as best I can in areas where a friendly face may be able to lend a hand, possibly providing telehealth diagnosis and remote ABA parent training for our families, especially our mothers who are struggling in our family. I can tell you this, while every situation is different and every child is indeed unique, every mother is the same. From all over the world, we share the same fears and we share the same heartaches. We wonder about the future and we hold on to hope, and we have no choice but to move forward with resilience. Some of you may be familiar with the literature review article published in 2016 led by Dr. Amina Abubakar, a systematic review of research on autism spectrum disorders in sub-Saharan Africa. The review sheds light on the significant gaps in understanding, awareness, and support for autism in African communities. And this review highlights that while the prevalence of autism is thankfully increasingly recognized, many countries still lack accurate data and resources to address the needs of those affected. And after almost a decade, the situation remains relatively unchanged. So as I stand here, I must acknowledge the strength and courage that mothers here embody. It's hard work. You know, we get the kids for a couple of hours in therapy and they are home forever, really, for a lot of the kids. But I just want to say to the mothers here, you are the unwavering pillars of your families, the nurturers who, despite the trials, continue to push forward with love and determination. It is essential to recognize that each day you wake up is a testament to your strength. You are not alone in this journey. You are part of a global sisterhood that understands your struggles and celebrates your victories. We know that we have to break down barriers, dispel myths, and foster an environment of acceptance in our communities. And it's crucial to highlight the importance of community support where women can share their voices without fear or judgment. And you know that you're speaking to other women who live your experience, such as this morning. And we are, as we sit here today through Zoom, we are harnessing the power of technology and social media to amplify our voices because we must be heard, because we mothers exist. We have seen remarkable examples of resilience across developing nations, including Africa, women who have risen to challenges, forming cooperatives, starting businesses, and advocating for their children's rights. These female pioneers like Agnes here, who I say there will be a statue of her someday, and many mothers here remind us that we possess an innate ability to adapt and overcome. Each small victory contributes to a larger movement. And a little personal story at a Friend of Face. I am reminded of an older mother who came to a Friend of Face years ago with her only child, her 3-year-old daughter, who did not speak, did not play, and did not know who her mother was in the room. This was a child this mother had waited for a long time. This was her miracle child. And this little girl could not tell the difference between her mother or the spinning chair in my office. Whether the mother came and went and left her alone with me, she did not appear to notice or care. After a few months of ABA, she was able to recognize her parents from a room of people and run up to them to be held and picked up. Years later, I would receive a letter from that family. They went on to move back to India so that they could open an autism school there of other children just like their child. They had their small victory and went to contribute to a larger movement within their community. Indeed, we have mothers who paved the way before us, showing that regardless of what society says, we know our children best. Eustacia Cutler, Temple Grandin's mother, refused to believe that her daughter could not learn and that her child became autistic because she was a refrigerator mother, without warmth and affection for her child. And regardless of what medical authorities told her at that time, she took it upon herself to work with her child, see to it that her future was bright, and she deafened her ears to reports of hopelessness and impossibilities. We know Temple Grandin today. We know her as a doctor of science, a professor, an author, an international speaker, and an autism advocate. So as we move forward, let us commit to fostering an environment where our child is seen, heard, and valued. By investing in early intervention program, training educators, and providing resources tailored to the needs of autistic children, we can create a brighter future for all. I know this may seem like an insurmountable task from the communities where you live today, but your living room can be the school for your child. Your daily routine is an opportunity for your children to learn and develop skills. We don't need a beautiful building from the start with a big playground or a master's degree in education, because I promise you there are no better teachers, no better therapists than mothers of children who are desperate to see their children grow and thrive. Mothers, remember that your love is a powerful force. You are shaping the lives of your children, and in turn, you're transforming communities. So we have to embrace our roles as advocates. I urge you to remember Pauline Einstein, Albert Einstein's mother, who received a letter from her son's elementary school teacher that said he was incapable of learning and that he would never amount to anything. Albert Einstein, many experts now believe, was most likely autistic. Instead of invoking these same words to her son, she turned to him with tears when he asked her to read him the letter, and she said his teachers could no longer teach him because he was so smart. So she had to stay home and teach him instead. She got him books, became his teacher, and he went on to become the Albert Einstein we know today, who shaped our knowledge of physics and impacted future generations, including the one we live in. I'm ending. To me, children are souls God entrusts to us mothers, and special needs children are entrusted to chosen mothers. I am here to tell you that you were already equipped with resilience you didn't know was built in you from the beginning. Our kids teach us, show us that we have this unspeakable power that only their existence, their presence could bring out. You never knew you were so strong until you were given a child with autism. And although there are countless sleepless nights, wretched moments of anxiety, and at times unwanted thoughts of the future, we would not exchange our lives for something more typical, more normal, if it means not being the chosen mothers of our current children. I have my own story of resilience. I'm blessed to have my children join me here today and listen to all of this. Of seeing my children, not through the lenses of shame or stigma, but through the eyes of faith and the unshakable belief that in my womb, God had called my children by name. And their future had been set, and it is good. And the possibilities of them, for them, are endless. They are God's children. And perhaps they were given to me for such a time as this. Over a decade ago, I went to open a friendly face to help meet the needs of my small autism community in Staten Island. And here I am today in this global platform, able to extend a helping hand to your community with the resources we have, limited as though they may be. I picked up the phone after I was contacted by Agnes and reached out to my colleagues, medical doctors who are experts in autism, and asked, would you help me in helping a small handful of mothers in Africa to get a clinical diagnosis for their children and some parent training. Before I could go into details, they were already on board, willing to help, because they too are personally affected with autism in their own homes. I know some of us here may feel very alone, but autism does not have to isolate. Instead, it can bring the world together, mothers together, for a common cause of good. So let's keep fighting, keep advocating, and keep pushing. With every push, you move an inch forward. And one day you will see just how far you've come. How far a friendly face has come. Agnes hasn't been there for a few years. And how far have we come, Agnes? How far have we come? And more importantly, how this great work, however difficult and seemingly impossible, will impact the growth of your own children. So let's carry hope and resilience beyond these walls, despite the grave reality of the enormous challenge task before us. Let's create a ripple effect of empowerment, inspiring others to join our cause. We have to celebrate our strengths and continue to advocate for a world where every autistic child has the opportunity to become the best version of themselves. Thank you, and God bless all our mothers.
Just looking for solution. It's not been easy because my son autism was really on the high spectrum. It wasn't easy for me. He had tantrums, so picker, whatever you may call it. All the symptoms of autism he had. It wasn't easy for me. The tantrum was the one that was killing me because he's non-verbal. There's no way he could express himself, so it wasn't easy. But with different therapies, like the ABA, went through ABA, occupational therapy, speech therapy. We've done speech therapy, although we didn't have a real qualified speech therapist. I think that's why the speech is still not there. But with intensive ABA and occupational therapy, he has made a lot of strides, a lot of improvements in his life. The child that was so restless, so destructive, have tantrums, temper tantrums, Now this is a child that can now sit by himself. It was difficult for us to sit him for just like a minute for his therapy at the initial stage. But with all those therapies, now if you even see him, you won't even realize he's autistic, because we've been through a lot. We've done even the hyperbaric oxygen, the HBO. We've done all that in India, and then in Canada. We've done stem cell therapy. It's been a long journey, like I said. It's not been easy. But now, with the improvement I have at the moment and where we are coming from, I really appreciate and thank God for everything. Because this is a child that you can now sit down with, you can sing around, go get me this. I never imagined in my life that I can send my son on an errand to go get me my bag, go get me my keys, go get me certain things in the room that he can do it. Those were the things I was really yearning for. Will there come a time that I will really send my son around to get me items that he can do? So when I see him doing all those things, although he's still non-verbal, I still thank God, because he's much more very calm these days. Very, very calm. He can sit with you for the whole day. He likes playing game anyway. The only thing, if he's with you, your phone will not have any rest at all, because he likes playing game. He will take your phone from you and will download his games for himself and start playing with them. So it's not been easy. Then, unfortunately, we came back from Kenya. We went to Canada, came from Canada because of the COVID. We came back from Canada. We are now in Sierra Leone. And the unfortunate thing about Sierra Leone is that we don't have facilities for our kids. That's the problem. There is no school for kids with autism or neurodivergent children. There are certain schools here and there, but they are just there to keep those kids. We do not have qualified therapists or qualified personnel to take care of them. That's the problem that we have. He was in one school, but he started becoming violent, so I had to take him off from the school. I realized that in the school, there were other kids were being beaten. I don't know whether they were beating him, I don't know, because he didn't like going to school, so I had to take him off from the school. Now he's with me at home. In the morning, we do some therapy, then we do some games with him. It's really not been an easy journey. That is my story from where we are. Just in summary, actually, because if I say I'm going to say everything, we here for the whole day. So that's just a summary. I just want to encourage other mothers that we should not relent. Wherever we get information and whatever we have to do, we have to put in our all, just to make sure that these children live a better life, because we are not going to be with them forever. There is a day we will not be around. And how independent will they be? So that's the goal we are all fighting towards. That's why we want our children to be independent, to be able to do things by themselves. Like my son, he can shower for himself, he can brush his teeth, he can eat by himself. You know, the only thing he can say, if he needs something, he comes to you, because he's non-verbal. Then he points at whatever he likes. Or if he wants something from the fridge, he can go to the fridge and tell you what he wants. I thank God he does not just go there and take things by himself. He has to request for it. So I'm really grateful for that, because there are certain kids that will just go and take and can eat anything. He is on a special diet. I made sure I put him on the special diet, gluten-free, casein-free diet. That's what he is on, and I have really seen tremendous improvement with this diet. Because anytime he happens to eat like a casein or something that has his casein in it, or gluten, like milk or bread, then you see the changes. It will take like up to like 6 months before everything can be eliminated from his system. So he's on a very strict diet up to now. I don't allow people giving him things, and his food is prepared from scratch. That's what I do with him. His food is prepared from scratch, no preservative, nothing. Everything is natural. He was on all vegetable diets, but we've tried to incorporate some rice into his food because those things are difficult to get in this part of the world. You cannot get broccoli, cauliflower, and all those things are very difficult to get. So I've tried as much as possible to incorporate some of the foods that are here into his diet. And there has not been much changes in his behavior. So I really thank God for that, because everything is really, really prepared from this one, natural. I thank God for my lovely sis Agnes. When she came to the house, and then we discussed at length. There are certain things that she's even supposed to do for me, but it's coming from my end because I'm the one that's supposed to buy the iPad so that he can send me some programs that will keep him busy. But as we all know, the economy is a little bit tight. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that I will send money for her to send me those things. But he has been a pillar, very encouraging. She will call, she will check on us, she will tell me what to do. Oh, this is what she did today. Okay, you can do this one, and then your child will be like this. So she has been of great help. Agnes has really, really been of very, very great help. So myself and my son, because she's always there. She's a shoulder that I can lean on. I will call on her at any time, and she will call me at any time. At times I will say, aren't you in bed? Aren't you sleeping? But she will be wide awake at all hours in America, but I know the time difference. But she's always there. So it has been a great help to me. She has been a great help. It has really helped me a lot. All the advice that she gives all the time, I really do appreciate her. I want us to give her a round of applause because she doesn't but she's just passionate about what she does, and she cares so much about other kids. Please, let's give Madam Agnes Kamara a big round of applause for what she has been doing for us as mothers. Thank you.
Autism as a word of itself came to light in 2017, right? When I worked on a project, analyzing interviews from parents, and it ran a bit because these experiences that I was reviewing to write a paper, it was something that was already happening in my house, but I didn't know it. And so, going back, my son wasn't talking, no speech, no interaction, not even with his siblings, and all of that, and we kind of missed all of those signs. But it was already there. He never adapted to daycare. He will go to daycare, and then all of a sudden he will come back home. Fortunately, I had my mom come help me with him. And so when my mom left and I sent him back to daycare, that was when now that I have this information about, okay, this is what is going on, even though I've been told before that, oh, he's a boy, he's just growing up, and I have two other kids that I know what the developmental stages are. And we had just finished 2-year appointment, and everything seemed fine. But the same week that he turned 2, that everything seemed fine, he was left outside the daycare. Because he lacked speech and social connection and everything, he was doing his own thing, and everybody went in. and for a while they couldn't see him there. And when you add all of those things, and now what I have experienced from just reading these interviews and observing my child, the lining up of cars, the way he does things, not being able to connect with his siblings, no speech. I mean, if he wants something from the refrigerator, he'll just hold your hand and put you right in front of the refrigerator. If he wants something from the pantry, put you right in front of the pantry for that. But one thing, once I realized that was it and spoke to the daycare, now he's at daycare back when my mom left, the daycare did an evaluation and realized, okay, yeah, all of this is going on, but we can recommend babies can wait. But the daycare also mentioned that we usually don't tell parents if something is going on because we get a pushback. And I said, no, you should have said something. But this was the same daycare he had gone to early on when, at an early age, right, before my mom came to help me. And now he's back at this daycare, but he was developing somewhat okay. And it's like, well, Mrs. Sisse, Dauda is here, but, Dauda is not speaking, Dauda is disengaged, and we suspect something is not okay with him. So the pediatrician, then we reached out to the pediatrician, and she just did this. She's like, how did I miss the signs, right? Because as a parent, I was checking just what I thought I was seeing, but not necessarily what was going on with him. So we had to, at that time, he was about a little over 2.5 years old, and we did the Georgia Babies Can Wait program. Georgia Babies Can Wait evaluated him, and they will go to his daycare, which was really great for us because as a working parent, that was really helpful to me, and he benefited from that program. But we still did not have a diagnosis. It was just, suspected that he was on the spectrum. And then he transitioned to the school system with some evaluation and services. After that, it took a while to get a diagnosis. Why? Because there's a long wait, which many people within the states already know about, for autism. And I had to change insurance so he can be fast-tracked for services. But that whole time, handling all of that, there was just a lot of stresses that came with it. Why is, I think I got hung up on what caused this autism. And I dragged my feet, even though in the back of my mind, I've heard those other parents talk about their experiences. I knew, for me, it was, I had to be more proactive in the way I'm supposed to take care of him because I know this information. It was a really good information for me to be proactive. But at some point as a parent, I kind of got stuck on what caused the autism. And also as an immigrant, you get stuck on what will people say. But I had to tune all of that out and take care of my son. And I have a very supportive spouse who, after learning all of that information, was like, okay, I'm with you. And it's shocking. I mean, you go through all that evaluation process. It's very stressful. Doing all of that, and they don't tell you it's autism. They tell you we suspect it's autism because they cannot diagnose autism. You have to go through the proper evaluation process. So which we finally did back in 2018. And it's been quite a journey. We're fortunate we're in the States, and so and also being employed also helped because I was able to get him services, not only through the school system, special education. He's in a self-contained class up to now. I wish I could get him out of there, but he's not ready yet for Gen Ed. So it's a struggle, but I've been very fortunate to have a very supportive family, to have my mom sacrifice her time back home and be here with me. She just recently left. But throughout my journey, there was one thing that kept on my mind. How are people in Sierra Leone doing this? And for a while, I couldn't really think about it because we were just throwing everything at our son to be able to care for him. But then the pandemic hit. When the pandemic hit, it was really chaotic. This kid lost all his routine. It was really hard handling him. And we had to discontinue ABA services, not because we wanted to at the time, but because the vendor wanted to do a quota service instead of a personalized service, and I had a problem with it. And at first my husband's like, "You're crazy. Do you think this is the right thing to do? This kid needs this help." I'm like, I'm a working parent. I can, I have to put roof over my head. I cannot leave work and just spend all the time at an ABA facility. If this is not working, fine. We'll just let it go. Fortunately, at the time, I had my next door neighbor's daughter help out, which is great. Be a good neighbor. So she filled in because she had been helping, and would take her to therapy to see what the therapists were doing. And so she'll come, she'll make money on the side by helping us at home. So when I say we threw everything at our son, we threw everything at him. It took the pandemic to realize we were running ourselves to the ground. And so it also gave me an opportunity to start advocating openly, because when that pandemic happened and the extra struggles of being able to deal with everything else and work and what else needs to be done outside, allowed me to become an Autism Speaks advocate, which to me at the time, it was to get at the ABA vendor, but there were legislative priorities, meaning we go to Congress to help out, to lobby our congressional leaders on things that are impacting the autism community, bills, including the Family Caregivers Act. But it also allowed me to be able to start asking questions about Sierra Leone more. Now, if you've ever asked as a parent here, you might think it's a high secret society, right? Because when you try to ask about what is going on, people will be like, "Oh, I think there's a program here, but it's under wraps." I'm like, "What do you all mean it's under wraps?" And so I only had an opportunity to be able to see what was going on in Sierra Leone when someone who I had met through Facebook reached out to me that they would organize on a conference back home. And so I said, okay, for me, I was like, well, I want to do a needs assessment. I don't know where to begin, because I will see pages pop up during Autism Speaks Month, but then they will go off after a while. And I was able to get engaged with that program and be able to know what was going on, because someone who had opened a school in Sierra Leone spoke, and then someone at a university also spoke. And I'm like, okay, now I know where to help if I want to help back home. Because my parents are home, but they don't hear anything. They're familiar with what is happening to my son. They know that I do want to help in some way or form, but I did not know where to begin. And then that led to the 2-day training so we did that conference and we had parents speak. And then we realized parents were not sending their kids to school because the schools could not accommodate their kids. And sometimes the kids were bullied going to school. It did break my heart because here I have the support and the services, I can advocate for my child, but over there was practically nothing and the parents were struggling. Another thing is these parents do not even know what autism is and their cultural and religious beliefs. How do we get to what we need to get to? And so doing that 2 days training and having approximately, we were only going to do 75 parents. We had about 120 parents and teachers and caregivers come to that training. And for the first time, some moms, it was the first time they saw another mom experiencing what they're experiencing. It gave them hope. It gave them, they were able to share their stories in a way that they've never been able to share before. It gave them understanding of what their experiences are not different from others. And so thank you, because then it's Miss Agnes got connected. We got connected last year, and how do we explore this at my parents' community school? And that's what we're trying to explore further. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for sharing as well. Now we're going to give the floor to Margaret to share her experience, and it's almost 9:30, so I'm not trying to rush you from sharing what you have to share, but let's try to keep it a little bit tight so we can get some questions in there. So Margaret, the floor.
How many minutes do I have?
Well,
Take it back.
take your time. Give as much as you can.
Too much time.
But you want to answer the questions.
Okay.
Get to your point, and we are here to
straight from the heart.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I mean, I'm very grateful to be here. I need a tissue. I mean, this is my first time speaking openly about this. And I mean, it's a whole roller coaster of emotions for me. Well, ultimately, I'd almost promised myself that I was not going to cry, but it's okay. So long as it comes from the heart. So, my son, King Jason, is 5. He turned 5 in December. He's an amazing guy. If you see him, you will love him. Handsome, good. And we everything good. We had him during COVID, 2019, and then I was lucky to be working from home, so we were all at home and then at some point we had actually nurtured, myself and my husband. He's online, I guess. He's such a very supportive partner. So we are taught of homeschooling, without knowing anything. First time parent, by the way. So I think if I think very much as that when he was over 1 year, he would say 3 words. He would say bye-bye. He would also say amen when we pray, and then add hallelujah. He would say it the way children would say it. And then, that was it. What else again? Where we had no particular expectations, or we had a milestone that we wanted him. Then he also didn't walk quite fast, because I remember at 1 year, 2 months thereabout, my mom will be, in fact, I remember her returning that day from another city, and she had something like a trolley, just like, I've been working all my life, it's okay, let's say do whatever he wants to do. And then he started working at maybe 18 months thereabout. And then what we did notice was he lost those 3 words at maybe 2, and then that was when we decided to enroll him. And of course, people around were concerned about the social skills, because he was so independent. He would do his thing, it wouldn't bother me. I was like, oh God, I have a great baby like myself, I'm just easy going. And then eventually we enrolled him in school. In fact, before we could found, I think somewhere we knew that it was, every child is unique, special. So even that day we found a school for him. It was the 5th school that we stood and said, okay, this is the right school. There's just this parent instinct. our spirit fell in love with the school. We went to one of the schools, and we just felt, no, it would be, they can't handle it. So we didn't know anything, but we just knew that it needed somewhere that was, and this was a school that is inclusive. We didn't even know all of that. And then we started going to school. A few months down the line, the proprietors called us and said she wants to have a meeting. I was so careless about it. Okay, can we have it on the phone? She said, no, you need to come in person. Myself and my partner went to, and then she sat us down. And then she was like, have you noticed this? Have you noticed that? Of course, while she was asking those questions, it dawned on us that, even when you call him, it will turn your direction, whether he's answering or not, and he's not been talking. And so I was then trying to browse and like, okay, I had my baby with this person. Oh, I saw him speaking that day. I saw that lady, and then all of that. And then they sought our consent to do an educational assessment because they have a special education department in the school. And then a few months, our result was out. They also gave us some assessment to do. And then, yes, they recommend that we do clinicals, but based on what they've seen, our son will be needing 100% support. That's extra money, by the way, because we need to talk about those things. I'm so blessed, or rather not unfortunate, to be able to afford this kind of school in the first place, because when you talked about bullying, it was the thing that stuck in our head when we left two of the schools. It would be too much for them. I'm not sure they can handle it, and they might just want to pour the frustration on him and all of that. So we had to then get someone to help him. But in all of this, and just like I said, this is my first time speaking openly, I'm caught in between. It's okay. And my mom would tell me, oh, you didn't get to talk until you were 4. It's going to be fine. It's just temporal. It's just this. So really just even accepting it and then understanding the environment. In December this year, when he turned 5, my younger sister had a wedding. So, we were in the family gathering, and you know how you go out and then you're like, can we just end this event so that I go? And like, oh, okay, so far, no meltdown so far. We can just go and everybody thinks everything is okay. But then, my prayer didn't get answered that day. And then it was everywhere. He would run, and before I knew it, there were a lot of unsolicited advice. Oh, you need to get him, very ridiculous things, guys. And that really, again, brought, I go out with this, oh, I have a unique son, I'm cool, we'll be fine, we'll be okay. But then when those questions come, when those advice come, when all of that, then it suddenly becomes a problem. And then I am from Nigeria, we live in Abuja. Abuja is the main city. So we get all of the services. On top of that, we've also been able to get like a tutor that comes through, but these are not services that are easily available to everyone. So it breaks my heart that, yes, I continue to look for support for King Jason. And, I was in Sierra Leone in December. This very important story of my life. When I met Madam Agnes, it was such divine because I didn't even expect to see her in that gathering. It was on adolescent and youth. I work on sexual and reproductive health. And then there was this topic on autism. I'm like, really? So people talk about this outside? And then I wanted to attend, and then we met. And it is by that I am here today. And ever since then, there's so much hope. We were at Anna Marie's center yesterday, and it just continued to give me hope that there is support. Because yes, I want to talk about this. I'm hoping I can pick up the challenge from here, because I know there's several women like myself that are going through this. I'm like, so after saying all of our stories, then what? Oh, what if they need diagnosis? What if? I agree, just take one step and it will continue. But let me be able to know that we can reassure ourselves that there is support. It's not cost effective if at all you find one, finding the tools. But I think ultimately it's the social, cultural barriers, the enabling environment. I am blessed with a lot of support system. Right now I'm here because my mom is at home helping, my husband is at home, I have a sister, but it got to a point that we were censoring the people who come into our house. Even when friends say, I'm coming, okay, I'm going to travel, I'll have to lie, to be honest, because I don't want you coming asking me questions, or if you're also the type that over time said, oh, I mean, you need to discipline this guy. He needs to be this way. He needs to, I mean, Kid Jason is unique and special. So you get a lot of that, even in Abuja, and then people just, some won't even talk. But I mean, does this look like, what are you, like, you're not enough as a mom because you can train your child. And I would, honestly, there are a lot of events I do not attend because if I can't go with him and there is no someone to support, but I have the support system, but to be honest, enabling environments in Africa and maybe across the world, it's something, and I think that with more awareness, because I love our communal, I mean, people give unsolicited advice, that's another topic, but honestly, I think if they know better, they would act better. So sensitization is very, very key. Okay, there's so much to talk about, but I'm really privileged to be here, and particularly with these amazing mothers. It hits differently when you know that someone is in similar shoes. I don't think we're in the same shoes, but it just really helps better. Thank you, Madam Agnes. You know, I told you I can't thank you enough. You've been very instrumental to figuring me into Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you so much. And now we're going to call on Dr. Spoonmore to share her experience. And
I promise to keep it short because I
it's okay. That's right. Thank you so much.
Okay. My name is Faith Spoonmore. I got my doctorate degree in physical therapy. I have a 10-year-old who is also on the spectrum. I started seeing signs of autism when my son was about 1. I went to his appointment and I had the questionnaire to fill up. And one of the questions was, does your child make sounds? Does he say dada? Does he say mama? And my first thing was, well, his dad's not around, so maybe that's not. I was like, and then my second thing for why he was not saying mama was because, well, kids normally say dada because it's easier than mama. So that's why he's not saying mama. So I was like, not yet, working on it. So the pediatrician came in, went over the questions, and he was like, okay, so you think he's on the right track? I was like, yeah, but I think we should probably start speech therapy just to help him a little bit. He was like, okay, if that's what you think, because of course, he's familiar with my background and everything else. So we started speech therapy. When a speech therapist came, this was with early intervention, which is available in every state in the U.S. So for moms in the U.S., if you don't know, early intervention is available from birth to 3 years old before the child starts preschool. It's free. You can get services. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, ABA therapy, nutritional health, you name it, the state will pay for it. Okay. Now, so we got speech therapy started. The speech therapist came out and was like, you know what, let's do play therapy too. I think that'll be great. Because he does not play with his toys. So literally, I was going through the signs of autism, but I was not ready to diagnose my kid. So I was like, when he plays with his toys, he would spin the wheels and not really drive the car. So I was like, okay, that's a good idea. So they kept on playing along with me. And then finally, I was like, let's do ABA therapy too. Because he's not looking at me when I call his name either. She was like, okay. So then when I introduced this to Elliot's father, the comeback was, well, my mom said that I didn't talk until I was 4. And I was like, oh, okay. And she was okay with that. He's like, yeah, this is common in our family. I was like, okay, well, in my family, it's not okay. And that's not normal to not talk until you're 4. So I decided to continue along the path of therapy. And one of the rationale for that statement was because we did not want to pay for therapy. Because the state can only provide so much therapy. If you feel like your child needs more, you need to go the route of you paying for it, or you having insurance that's going to cover it. And a lot of times people don't have that. So in my case, I didn't have that, but I wanted to pay out of pocket. And I figured, this is your kid, you might as well help. So long story short, that relationship ended. Now, fast forward, I met this guy. And I brought him over on our like second or third date. I was like, you gotta meet my son, because if my son don't like you, I cannot continue to date you. It's just not gonna work. So he came over, and Elliot did not like people at all. He was not a people person. And as soon as Garrett came over, Elliot ran to the door and hugged his leg. I was like, what? Green light? Check mark. So Elliot loved Garrett, but Elliot was nonverbal at that time, and he was still in his own little box and doing his own thing. And when Garrett came, we had a great day, and he was like, you know, I love Elliot. He's a great kid. But I think we should look into getting more services for him. So that was another thing. In addition to getting the early intervention services with this person that I just met, we started paying for ABA therapy. Fast forward, I'm pregnant. I have a baby. We're moving to a new house. Unfortunately, my grandmother died when I was 5 months pregnant. Elliot was about 2 years old at this time. We moved out of that house into a new house. There's a lot of new changes. So Elliot is still showing signs of autism. Now it's ramping up. The meltdowns are getting worse. I'm fresh postpartum, very emotional. Everything makes me cry. And this is the first time that I'm actually seeing my son, because I'm at home with him full time. He was in a great Montessori daycare, so they had a lot of hands-on things with him. And here I am, newborn baby, seeing classic autism. Meltdowns. Just cannot sit still, constantly running back and forth, pacing, noises, sensory, everything, seeking, you name it, he wants it. Confused, upset, I want something. My mom don't understand what I want. I'm frustrated, like, what the hell do you want? I can't figure you out. And I was like, I need to get a diagnosis, because insurance will only pay for so much unless you have an official clinical diagnosis, which is why it is important to get a diagnosis. Then you can take them to the ward and say, you are required by law to pay for these services that's being recommended for my child. So, time to get a diagnosis. Children's Mercy, it would take 2 years to get him in. I don't have 2 years. No, I have 2 days max before I lose my head. So I ended up going back to early intervention. On the early intervention website for every state, there are lists of providers that are not connected to the big hospitals that a lot of people go to. Those providers, a lot of them tend to have a shorter wait list. So that's another recommendation for parents that are in the US. Go that route. The wait list is not that long. And if you want to be even extra, you can tell them, if someone's canceling, call me, I'll show up. And that's exactly what I did. There was a cancellation, and I called in work, I was like, I'm sick today. And I took him. So we got his diagnosis, and we started services. I had to leave my job because they were not going to pay as much as I needed them to pay. They recommended 40 hours of ABA therapy a week. He was 2.5 years old. And I was like, that is a lot. But we did it. I did 20 hours in a center, 20 hours at home. And we got the ABA therapy. He was getting speech therapy 3 times a week. He was getting play therapy 3 times a week. And it's basically come back to that support system, because this man that I met, who is not Elliot's biological father, he stepped in and he pulled out his wallet. And he's like, if this is what we need to do, this is my family, this is what we do. Fast forward now, Elliot is 10 years old. He is verbal. He cannot stop talking. I remember one of my thing when the speech therapist came, and she just happened to be one of my girlfriends, and I was telling her, I'm like, I cannot wait for Elliot to call me mom. Like, I just cannot wait. I just want you to say mom so bad. And then there was another time I picked him up from school, and the kid just would not shut up. Mom, mom, I'm like, oh, I pray for this. Actually, I pray for right now. I pray for this moment, and here it is. Yes, Elliot. Yes, Elliot. Yes, Elliot. And then the other night he goes, you know my pajamas is not going to find itself, right? Excuse me. Yeah, I didn't put the laundry away, so he couldn't find his pajamas. I was like, excuse me? He's like, well, I asked you for it a while ago and you're still sitting over there. But it's like we have come such a long way, and it's not just because of the therapy that we had, it's because of the work that I also did myself. I have fired a lot of people. I have hired a lot of people. I have paid for a lot of things out of pocket. There are a lot of times where I have changed jobs because it just did not work for the schedule that I needed. Right now, I am in the school system. I was working with the VA for 8 years. I left. I love the VA. But when it comes down to scheduling and actually prioritizing my family, it just was not doing it. So now I'm in the school district, and I get to work with other kids that are also on the spectrum and have many different types of diagnoses. But it just works better because I can tell them, hey, I need to go pick up Elliot. We're having a bad day. I will be back tomorrow. And they understand because that's just what we do. But recently we had an IEP meeting, and his teachers, he's in 4th grade right now. He's in Gen Ed. He still has services that gets pulled in, like speech and some other, like for reading intervention and math intervention, just because he's just slower to do stuff. And the Gen Ed teacher was telling me that when we give kids 10 problems, so in the class they're doing math and they give the kids 10 problems, she's like, we normally only expect Elliot to complete maybe 2 of it. I'm like, excuse me? She's like, yeah, you know, he gets really upset when he does not know something and we just don't want to make him upset. I'm like, so he's in a class that you said he is qualified to be in. But when you give kids in that class 10 problems, you're only giving him 2. That's telling me he's not prepared to be in that class. He is not in the right setting. And she was like, well, he understands the work, he just needs more time to do it. I was like, okay. I was like, moving forward, whatever work Elliot does not complete in school, I needed to be sent home with him. And I was like, moving forward, if he's reading a book that the class is reading, I need that book to be sent home with him. So since then, they've been doing that. And when he comes home, he gets home at 4:15. He has until 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, mommy teacher is in the building. We're finishing all those work because I know you're capable of doing it. We are going to do it together. And then you're going to take it back to the teacher and say, I told you so. Because you are capable. And that's the thing that I want for moms to remember. Is not that your baby is so far back. It's that the teachers are overwhelmed. They don't have the time that your kid needs. So you need to meet them where they are at and put in the time and the work. Nobody's going to raise your child. Nobody's going to educate your child more than you can yourself. You have to learn the time. That's my story.
Thank you all so much. And from the perspective of the primary caregiver to children on the spectrum, you couldn't have said it better. And being able to hear from different areas of women in diaspora to others in Sierra Leone, Africa, you know, the benefits and the resources are different. But in Africa, women are making do with what they have and what is available to them. So hearing the stories of women who are here, even with limited resources, trying to make a difference. But the primary person who can actually advocate and speak for their children is the mother who has the child on the spectrum. So as a community, my hope is that we walk away from this meeting and forum that we can share, educate, create awareness, because in Africa, as women, we already have a challenge where stigma is one of the biggest things against us. We struggle with being able to be heard in our countries, you know, where who are you? And who are you to resound a voice about change to something that is growing in our community, but yet still people are still in the shadow trying not to speak up and speak on it. So my hope and dream for all of us and those on Zoom is to just walk with kindness towards mothers who are experiencing, the challenges and the ability to provide the right care or appropriate care for their children. Now, there are a few questions that I propose to the panel. I could have done this individually, but time. So, what resources do you think could be, created, or, what you have experienced in the United States that has worked for you? What can you share to mothers who are having challenges accessing these resources?
For me, I think having the experience to interact with some of the parents when I went home last year, I think that the best resource, and like Tepum Grant had mentioned, school, and I think the school will be the best resource. Why I say that? My parents are teachers, right? My dad was a community college lecturer. My mom, elementary school teacher. And they've been so great at what they do in helping kids. Even now, my mom is looking back, the kids that she had helped along the way, knowing that, oh, maybe this was what they were experiencing. And so, and the fact that there are absolutely no resources back home, I'm going to tell you there are none. No speech therapy, no occupational therapy, no ABA. People do telehealth. So I think the school will be the easiest. If we have caring teachers, and again, you start from home, because at my parents' school right now, one of the things that they're working on is policing their language, because usually people call kids fool or whatever, you're stupid, not using such language, and if they see kids struggling, kind of helping them out. And so that's why I'm trying to encourage them so we can be able to serve the kids that we're able to serve, what I have in my control, because you will need enormous resources. But if you have trained teachers, and I don't know they have such a program, training teachers right now, it might have changed yesterday, but I don't know for that today, I think it will be the easiest, because teachers are nurturers. They can help those kids. Will every kid be helped? I don't think, not every kid behaviorally may be helped within the school system, but those kids that are showing signs that they could be, they could be helped in a way that they're able to be in school, I feel like those kids should be given an opportunity to stay in school. They should not be bullied out of the school system, as we're seeing many of the parents are experiencing, removing their kids from school. I have someone whose kid is now an adult. They had to take their child out. And so targeting that young kid, that's my goal. Because if we can start early, then maybe that track, it might only lead to weight. Only the government can do something big. I don't know where that is right now. We hope.
So, let me just restate the question, make sure I understand it correct. What resources that are available in the States that are not available in Africa would you recommend? That was correct. Okay. One thing that is very beneficial is understanding what it is that you're dealing with. Because you, the mom, have to understand what your child has. So if you see things that you think is different, Google Doctor sometimes is not the best, but it can help, right? ChatGPT is amazing. That one's even better. But you can put in the science and it can give you something. First, you have to educate yourself. You yourself have to be educated on the topic. You have to be educated and aware of what it is that's going on with your kid in order for you to educate someone else. And educate them so that way they will know your child is not being disrespectful by not looking at you when you say his or her name. It's basically because my child is just not able to. So that is the biggest thing that probably is not there right now, but is easier to establish, it's easier to obtain, because a lot of times now in West Africa, people have access to the phone, they're on social media, they have access to the internet, so they can generate that work of knowledge just by Googling or using ChatGPT.
Thank you. Margaret, can you?
Yeah, I think for me, rather than look at the tools, I mean, the human resource is very important. And I'll tell you why. 3 weeks ago, actually 4 weeks first, we were in the church, and then it was really a panic call. And in fact, the person actually said it like King Jason passed on or something. And then we got to the class. The guy was just not having his way with things, and it wasn't such a big deal. And then the Sunday right after, one of the teachers came after the service, and we were trying to find him. And then we found King Jason. He was around somewhere. And then she said, "Oh, yeah, took away my tablet just at the close of they were sharing grace, and then he ran out with it, and then we were trying." Then we had to go around the seat and everything. Then finally, I found it, and then I gave it to her. I was so apologizing. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I mean, I know your family members are waiting for you. It's past church time and all of that." And then she looked at me and said, "It's okay. It's okay." And then she went further to say, "I have a child like him." It made a lot of difference for me. I mean, just knowing that someone kind of understand what you're going through. In fact, I wanted to, I mean, it's past the class these days, but like, can I just station you in this class alone and just be there? So I think the human, and that's why sensitization, the information, and all of that, it's a great way to start as we continue to look forward to getting those amazing tools to support you.
Thank you. Thank you. So as we are about to wrap up, one of the few takeaways that I've mentioned, and we hear a lot about awareness, we hear a lot about education, and I'm just going to use an analogy of a tree. You know, every tree starts from a root of soil, you know, and you parents are the root. So as your tree grows and the trunk becomes, you know, solid, stand strong, the branches will display what you have put into your children for others to be able to see and walk in to support. So for anyone listening, you know, if you have anything to bring to the table, straight from the heart is open to take you in, and however you could contribute, both here in the United States or in Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and maybe a few more countries to come. We are open to any type of support. And also, you know, as we wrap up, I like the symbol of autism being a puzzle, because every piece is unique and every piece stands to complete the puzzle. Any puzzle scene with a missing piece will be beautiful, but yet still not complete. You don't get the whole picture. So as a team and a community, we should all continue to come together and support. You are all strong women. You know, continue to spread the word, educate us. You know, we who are here as supporters based on education, learning, and seeing from nearby, providing services. We are also going to be sounding that voice with you along the side, just to make sure we get awareness into our community. As African women, we deal with a lot, as I've said previously. But we, as advocates, can also step in to make a difference and an impact, even if it is small. Sometimes when you feel someone is not listening, you'll be surprised what they walk away with. So thank you all for coming. We will appreciate any networking, any exchange of information. You know, we will appreciate that from you all, and we will also come together, hopefully, to take a photo, you know, just to show our community in this room and beyond. Thank you again. And last but not least, certainly, to you, Miss Agnes, thank you so much. You are making a difference. It may not be big in your eyes, but as you've heard from all these women, your impact is growing and even becoming bigger than you would ever expect. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for educating our community. Thank you for being passionate, coming straight from your heart. We see you, we appreciate you, we are grateful, and I'm grateful to call you a sister. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you for being here.
mamas, come and save your child. Baby earth is breathing and living, and needs your tender embrace. Mothers of the universe, Mother Nature, come save your child. Come save your child. I said, come sisters, come and take back your child. This crazy world is breaking and burning, and needs your strength right away. Mothers of the universe,
Mothers of the universe.
Mother Nature's life, take back your child.